tank of gas. Does he boots on the wood, let the whiskey pass? I ain't preaching from a pulpit.
And welcome back, everybody, once again to the FAFO Podcast. And with me today, when we booked him on the show, I got to looking into everything Doug was about, and I got to tell you, this is going to be interesting. And I cannot wait to talk about Nulu. So we got a lot of stuff to cover. Today's guest is Douglas Katz. He's a West Point graduate, disabled Army veteran, inventor, and founder of Red Leg Innovation. After decades working across military service, business, and engineering, Doug set out to solve a problem he knew firsthand. Why are everyday tools so difficult for people living with injuries, arthritis, disabilities, or simply getting older? That question led him to create the Nulu Adaptive Kitchen Knife and a growing line of products focused on restoring independence, dignity, and confidence. Doug, welcome to the show, bud.
Thank you, my friend. How are you today?
Man, I am great. I am great. You have to excuse the dress wear. I ran it straight from the gym here. I'm like, I got to. This is getting old.
Dude, I like it, man. No apologies necessary. I still have to do my gym visit later today. So.
Oh man, how you doing?
Good. Getting by, right? Like things are crazy. Kids started school today.
Oh yeah. Well, you have an interesting story, man. I gotta say.
Thank you.
And briefly, let's touch on your military career and how Nulu, and we'll get into how Nulu came about and all that good stuff, because I'm just fascinated. So, So tell me about going to West Point and what that experience was like and how that shaped you.
You know, and it's really funny right now because my son is considering military service, so I'm sort of seeing him apply through the eyes of someone who's done it, and it gets you a little bit retrospective in your thinking. And, you know, I did not have military lineage in my family. So for me, it was just something I wanted to do. I wanted to serve. I was really fortunate to have a great guidance counselor who I was looking at ROTC and other stuff. And she said, look at the academies. So I really lucked out. In fact, I was joking with my son about, I didn't even see West Point until I rolled through the gates.
Wow.
I wanted to be a Marine, actually. I wanted to apply to the Naval Academy. I went to their summer program, and my congressman said, "Hey, you know, I already have someone going there because that was when Top Gun was big. Everybody wanted to fly." So he's like, "Hey, if you want to be a ground pounder, go to West Point. Otherwise, I'll send you a Merchant Marine." So I went there, and it was great. It was very formative. Especially when I look at my entrepreneurial time, I see how much it did shape me. And, you know, it's like everyone says, you know, my daughter's actually dating a West Point guy right now. She went to the Coast Guard Academy, and they met at some event at West Point. But when I see him and I see my son, I realize that it's immutable and sort of timeless what comes out of there. So, you know, it's tough. Like everybody says, it is immersive, but it really builds a certain character that is indistinguishable. All the academies do. So after the academy, and I wish I appreciated, and as weird as that sounds, I wish I had appreciated it more when I was there and enjoyed the journey as much as the destination. But after that, I went into the field artillery at Fort Carson, Colorado, spent a little time in Kuwait, and, you know, the sum total of what that does to your body, as well as, you know, you talk about going to the gym. I played rugby for many years, did martial arts. It tears your body up.
Yeah.
So I like to cook, and I make knives in my spare time. And during a particular time when the bill had caught up on my lifestyle, and I couldn't cook with like a regular knife, and a lot of the things in the kitchen hurt, I went out in my shop and said, okay, how can I solve this? And I kind of went into the origin of the Nulu to go back to West Point, because the academy and the military in general is a problem-solving organization. They're very, very good at on the ground solving problems. And I think that translated a lot into what I was doing in my shop, and said, how can I efficiently solve this problem for myself? And that sort of blew up into what is now Nulu.
And it's so fascinating because the backstory of Nulu and why you called it that and this particular knife. Tell us about that inspiration. I think is it the Ulu? Was that what that was? Is that what that?
It is. Yeah, the Ulu knife. And it's funny, I'm debating with some people on my YouTube channel right now, but it's a utilitarian knife that was used in the Inuit culture. It was primarily used by the women because they did a wide variety of tasks that were not field tasks. A traditional knife is what you would want in the field. You need the stabby end to be able to defend yourself, to hunt. The alignment is really when, you know what, let me grab, hold on. I'm a knife guy, so I always have a knife handy. But it's really aligned if you look from elbow to tip. This is the most efficient use of this tool, with cutting being the secondary one, right? You have to either slice, a chef will grip it a different way, but it's optimized for that. In the Inuit culture, they knew that for skinning and cutting. And when I'm having the debate with the person on my YouTube channel is cutting hair, I'm right, by the way, but Inuit women used it for everything. It truly was their utilitarian everyday carry. But they didn't have to defend themselves the same way, or, a hunt, do any of that. So I was kind of thinking, why does this work really well? And if you think back to this, it's linear: tip, blade, transition, handle. And it's linear, right? Which makes sense. If this is the primary use, linear makes sense. There's a line from here to here. If you're slicing, this doesn't make sense, because now you're trying to transfer force from here across the spine to the blade. With the Nulu, and this is our newer sheath, and the Ulu to some extent, you can see now where the alignment occurs is with the blade, the cutting part of the blade.
Yeah.
So, and an Ulu is the same way, but what we did differently is, and this is our patent pending design, is we added this part to the blade. When we moved the connection point to one end, a typical Ulu would be attached in the center. So it's really optimized around the crescent part of the blade. And part of this was by accident and experimentation, but when you move it here, now you can see that I'm aligned with the blade the same way, but I can chop, I can slice, it's a little bit, obviously this would be where I'm cutting, be down, but now it's aligned with your body, and the circular geometry now means that I can articulate my wrist, or if I can't articulate my wrist, I am then able to find the part of this blade that works for me. The other thing is it reduces, when I showed you the linear knife, you have to grip it to transfer force. When I use my Nulu in the kitchen, I actually hold it like this. A couple of reasons. One, you can see where it is aligned complete with my body. You can't even see the blade. And I know where my fingers are. I know where the blade is. It adds to a little bit of safety, but you just having come back from the gym, when you're lifting, if you grip something, over gripping it, let's say you're trying to work your chest and you over grip a bar, all of a sudden all your strength ends right here, and you can't isolate your chest muscles the same way.
Correct.
Sometimes referred to as a kinetic chain. But by doing this, I can't over grip it. I have bad arthritis, so for me, this also alleviates pain and fatigue. But now I'm transferring my full body into where that blade is for more efficient cutting as well. The interesting thing that we did find out was, when you think about the control, vision impaired people also have really good experience with our knife, as well as people who cut seated. Because if you think about that same kinetic chain, now I could actually use this reverse blade and cut toward myself. I use my arm. I'm using my arm a little bit here to illustrate, because I'm not sitting at a table, but you can use your core. You basically can disaggregate your arm from the equation. It becomes static, and you're then using your core. So from a biomechanical perspective, and I'm not a professional there, but I've sort of backed into understanding it, because I was like, oh, it doesn't hurt. it works for me. Why does it work for me? So a lot of experimentation is still going on as we develop the design a little bit more.
Well, I got to tell you, this actually, this is serendipitous because my girlfriend's been going through surgery on her wrist because she had real bad arthritis. They've had to remove these bones here, slot her hand up, her bones into her wrist,
Yep.
her actual hand itself, and they just went and had to attach her finger, thumb. I mean, it's a mess. So she's only going to have this much movement. She don't
Yep.
do this anymore. This blade
She probably
looks like
can't do
it's
much of
perfect
this
for it.
either.
Exactly. So she's
Yeah.
she's not going to have any of that. This blade looks perfect for that, though.
Well, it's interesting. We unveiled it in June of 2025 at an Abilities Expo in Chicago, and it was mind blowing. But one gentleman was in a wheelchair. He came to the booth, and he looked like he had been in some type of accident that was heat or electricity related. A lot of burns over his body, and his hands were fused.
Oh man.
But what that meant was he couldn't grip. He picked it up and went to town on it because really the only thing you're only really attaching it here. And it's interesting where then like the explanation becomes clear later on, right? When you're like, oh yeah. Well, I also do some martial arts. I did Aikido for a long time. And in Aikido, you do some weapons work in preparation to learn how to defend against weapons. But holding a sword is a very loose. You don't overgrip it, right? You want to be able to use it very loosely, and there's some DNA I think of that in here where it's like, oh, I get it. This is something that I already know.
That's fascinating. I mean, it really is fascinating. That explanation wasn't what I expected, but it makes perfect sense to me because it looks like we're about to buy a Nulu. Just because I think it's going to benefit her, especially when she gets out of this cast, to be able to go in here because she has no grip strength right now.
Yep.
And she wants to feel useful, which I love the backstory with this too, because I believe you said, I believe I read like your father. This was some of the inspiration for some of this.
My dad was living with us at the time. He passed away at 89 and lived with us for the last 3 years. So from about when he was 86 to 89, he lived with us and really did he had arthritis and stuff, but his were aging related things. But he did always like to help in the kitchen. He liked to cook, and he was one of the testers on the design, and he used it and was able to cook a little bit in the kitchen. And that was something where we have really been trying to establish some discussion in the caregiver market. Right now we're caregivers for my father-in-law. We were for my mother-in-law until she passed. So we've really seen that from the sidelines, and it's all interrelated, right? I always love when you see an article that says anti-inflammatory diets are good and help prevent the ravages of aging, or all these things, and feeling important. And it's just a simple tool can reestablish all of that to allow people to age more healthfully, or in a more healthful way, I guess would be a good way to say it, to be able to, control their diet, to be able to feel useful. Like all of those things become so important. And those were more echo effects that we didn't expect, right? It's the pebble in the water was me. And then the disabled market was that first ripple, but we're seeing these other ripples. We're even seeing people ask about children. We designed this model around it because at one point we were pitching it for investment. Right now we're bootstrapping. But when we were pitching for investment, it was really important to say, how big is the market? So in thinking about how do you then define ability and disability, we created this model we call the ability curve. And ability and disability are not an identity. It's not binary. It is a matter of you will exist on a scale and you will move in and out of more and less ability throughout your life, obviously with sort of that 18 to 35 or whatever, right? There's a point where you're at your best, you bounce back, your recovery is good, injuries are short-lived. But it's a curve because on the side that we've been talking about, age or degradation because of a chronic issue, or in some cases an issue that you've had your entire life, right? That's really the smallest minority of the disabled market. I would say that anybody over a certain age has some disability. And our model proves that out. But if you were to take a viewpoint of what I saw in the Army, when you're looking at a task, can you do that task under certain conditions and standards? Well, what we looked at is the task of cutting is important. Right now, the conditions and standards were defined by the culinary world, right? Here's how you use a knife. And if you can't do that, you can't do that task. We looked at it and said, how can you change those conditions so that the standards and the task itself are the same, and therefore somebody can achieve the same thing? Now, if you look at that same logic, children are functionally disabled to do adult tasks. They're not disabled children. They are not able to do what an adult does. So we've even started looking at the children, the child market, which is a little bit harder. There's a lot more regulation, but we've even thought about a starter knife that's not made out of metal and all these kind of things, because the physics of it, the geometry that it's designed around, work whether you're a 7-year-old cutting your first potato or whether you're a 70-year-old cutting potatoes for Thanksgiving. It's the same challenge because it's strength, dexterity, coordination. And if those aren't up to that key point, the peak of the ability curve, you're degraded. You're disabled, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, and it really does make sense, because I'm pretty sure that the children in that culture that knife is based on had to learn to use that at a pretty young age itself, right? To be
I'm sure that especially the women. That's a great point. That's a really great point.
And the other thing I love about it, and you touched on it, the mental health part of being able to feel like you're being productive again.
Yeah,
it's so huge. It gets overlooked a lot of the times, because that's also part of your longevity and growing older, is how you're viewing life and your ability to be a productive part of whatever home life or society life that you're able to be a part of. And so often it seems like we close them off and say, well, you're old now, you just go sit in a corner, which is the worst thing you can do for somebody.
Right. Well, especially around holidays, like it's, again, there's interesting things that you come across on a journey. And one of the things is, and everybody knows, food is such a pivotal part of every culture. I've never, when I was in Kuwait and we would do joint things with the Kuwaiti army, it was always around a meal, and it was the meal the way they did it. And there was cultural exchange, and within a culture there, meals are the basis of so many holidays and events. And many times the patriarch or the matriarch of a family was a big part of that. And there should be a handoff, but it shouldn't occur faster than the family or even wanted to.
Yeah.
And if it's a transition, then, if we can help grandma take part in more Thanksgiving meals and preparation and the joy of having that meal, enjoy it, then that's a great thing. So I think there's you hit on, there's so much more to it than just, hey, I can cut a carrot better now.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me about the company itself. I mean, are you guys in stores? Are you online ordering?
We are.
How does this work?
Well, we're not in any retail stores. So when we launched, we were purely through our website, and we still sell directly through our website. We are also on Amazon. You almost cannot be on Amazon these days, or you have to be on Amazon, I guess is the best way to say it. And so we're on Amazon. We're also available through GovX. So there's a great discount on GovX. It's actually our biggest discount for first responders, teachers, and of course military and veterans, as well as I think medical. I'm not sure what their gating factor is, but it's a great website. And then we're on a site called Rehab Mart, which is really built around the clinical community, more or less, for people to go. They're tied into a lot of the Medicare, Medicaid, VA, and all of those. So they tend to be or in clinical practices. So we have a good footprint. We're looking to grow it, and we're launching a couple of other products. We also have a cutting board right now. We have a cutting board, a stand, cutting gloves, and a sharpener. But later this year, we're expecting to launch another version of the Nulu with a premium handle. We've heard a lot of people who would love to get it. And this handle was really optimized around our core market. It's stippled. It's got a good grip to it. But we want to put a premium handle on it. So in late 2026, look for a whole bunch of different micarta or other handles that would sort of bring it to parity with some of the other knives that people think of. We went to the 2025 Atlanta Blade Show, biggest blade show in the country, and got great feedback. But one of the feedback was, hey, I'd love to see this with a beautiful handle. The other thing is, and this was partly keeping my promise, but we wanted to do it anyhow. I have a friend from West Point who got MS or was diagnosed with it. And he said, I love this knife, but it's not a table knife. It's not consumptive. So I can prepare a meal, but then when I go to eat at home, I might use it. But if I go to a restaurant, I would love to have a knife I could bring. So later this year or early next, we're also going to be launching a table knife. And those will initially launch likely through our website and then on the other platforms. Just for some logistical reasons and things. The premium handle may just only end up on our website, because I even want to get into the custom option where if you're ordering something for somebody who's a real knife geek, they could pick their scales, pick their pins or connectors, and get a knife that really, really represents them.
Yeah.
As much as it's a great tool.
Oh, that's going to be awesome, actually. So which of these sites really benefits you guys right now? Is it trying to rack up Amazon reviews
Amazon,
so people it amps it up?
I hate to admit, Amazon is, when I said you have to be on there, it's where everybody goes.
Yes.
Everybody's got Prime, so they'll look on our site and go to Amazon and go, oh, it's available here, and I get it Prime, even if it's the same price. It's a weird consumer behavior. So the majority of our sales are through Amazon, which is fine. It solves a lot of our logistical challenges. But secondary to that is probably our website. The challenge with Amazon, and this is interesting, and it really speaks to how, as a society, we look at adaptive products. There is no category. So there isn't somewhere to go on Amazon and say, oh, I just had a stroke. How can I find the right products for me? And then you're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So Amazon has a lot of strengths, but the challenge in the adaptive space is, and this is consumer behavior in general. I think generally people don't want more choices. They want good choices from which they can make an informed decision. When I'm buying something, 5 good choices across a couple of different price ranges with different feature sets usually is enough for me. I might do a little broader research. But that really doesn't exist in the adaptive space. So we're also working on some software tools to help with that, because it is a challenge. The adaptive tools are very tactile. They're very personal. And as a result, looking at a static 2-dimensional picture, it's very hard to understand. And if you don't have something interactive, so we're trying to continue to perform on Amazon. But Amazon's also really expensive. What I would love to be able to do is get more sales through our site and be able to put some of that added profitability into further development of our products or development of tools that people can use to better understand the use case for our product and even understand potential reimbursement paths, so that when they're making that decision, they could look and go, oh, I may be able to get this paid back through HSA, FSA, and all those different things.
Yeah. So going back to your when you create this thing in your garage, what after you realize what you may have here, what is your next step? What does that look like when you approach somebody and say, look, I got this thing?
I wish it was that deliberate. I had tried a couple of other things before, not related to this. And I brought it in, and my family was like, hey, really crude looking. Like you can see, that's the prototype right behind me that I still keep in my office. But my family was like, oh, this one actually is pretty cool. And one of my now partners, the guy who actually is the design master who took that and made it into this. Wait, for context, you can see it's really crude, right? I made it out of a circular saw, and it was really never meant to be a long-term thing. It was like, hey, I got to get my shoulder rebuilt. It'll be about 2 years. I'm going to make a knife that works. And I made it, and I was headed, after a couple of weeks right after that, I was headed to a friend's house, big culinary guy, and I wanted him to play with it and try it out. And my now partner was there as well. And we were all standing there, and he looks at me and goes, Doug, you know I'm like an industrial design guy. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot. Because he originally was in the toy industry. And he said, we're going to do this. So he and I were the first two that formed the company. And then we, sort of built the team from there. But it was the amount of times I tried to deliberately start a business and failed versus this, where I was designing to solve a problem that became the business. It's a very interesting duality. And, I sometimes talk to younger entrepreneurs. There's a lot of entrepreneurial programs in high schools, and that's where I tell them, start with the problem. Like, I know you want to have a business, start with the problem, solve something that you're personally connected with, and you'll likely have a better outcome because you understand the market. You understand a lot of things about it.
Yeah, and that is very true. It's just, again, that story is fascinating. Just how no one's really thought about that before. But I think it's right, because no one's ever looked at the problem and said, how can I truly solve this and make this work for me?
You know what you do see? What you see is products that solve the problem but don't do it elegantly. And from that, I mean, you'll see a traditional straight knife. You'll see something like this with a vertical handle where you can hold it like this.
Yeah.
Well, that solves your grip problem, but it doesn't solve any of the mechanics. You're still trying to transfer force the wrong way. So I think there were a lot of incomplete solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting. If you go to the OT community, they know the Ulu. They're like, oh yeah, like I recommend the Ulu for people all the time. So we are really trying to get into that clinical world where they look and they go, oh, I get it, the new Ulu, like I totally get it. And we're making some good headway at OT, PT, and ortho practices because they get it. But I just don't think that there's a thought of how can we solve the problem in the least complex and cost, the way that costs the least.
Yeah.
Our knife was expensive to produce. I wanted to make it in America, and we ended up having to produce it overseas because it was expensive. I think that might have, some of those things are what deter manufacturers from entering that space, because either you make something that's cheap or you make something that is better but more expensive. And how do you solve that problem?
Yeah.
I do think that the gray tsunami is changing that. All the aging boomers, if you look at AARP, they've seen this, and they have like an accelerator for aging tech. Well, all aging tech is adaptive thinking. So I do believe societally we're thinking differently. The question is, how quickly can we get to more universal design? Because the funny thing on this is it's better for everybody. So I gave one to one of my wife's family. We were in Minocqua, Wisconsin, visiting them. And of course, I bring it as a gift whenever I go stay at someone's house. And he was cooking ribs, and he was like, this thing's great for separating ribs. He doesn't have any major bodily issues. He's like, oh, this is just a really good way to get through like a lot of meat and connective tissue and all of that. So the more that people understand the ability curve, like I was talking about earlier, but also the reason things are adaptive is because somebody didn't have the ability to do something, but giving them the ability to do something usually means a more efficient way of doing it.
Yeah.
And, just because I'm able-bodied or when I was, doesn't mean that I didn't understand efficiency and optimization. So we're even trying to look at how do you get into the commercial space to take care of employees in the food service industry so that they don't get repetitive stress injuries, or open the labor pool for the commercial kitchens with people who either would age out of being able to do that job,
Yep.
or who have a disability that would have kept them from doing it. But that able-bodied part is the challenge, because people look and they say, "That's more expensive. I know how to use a knife," but we should protect all of our workers, right? So if in the food service industry, you're preventing somebody from getting arthritis, that helps us all save on medical costs. It saves on workman's comp claims. There's so many things that it solves for people who are able-bodied now but could face issues later.
Yeah, I agree. I was just thinking that because I'm a writer, so I spend a lot of time just at my computer, and I don't need this as the older I get to just really start affecting me. And I'm a cook too, so I love to cook. So when I'm using those big knives and chopping, if I can have something that is a preventative measure for me, dude, I'll sign up for that all day long, because I don't want this to be injured in a way that just regular wear and tear.
Right. And what's crazy is we have sort of we haven't really gone after the knife industry per se. We've sort of been on the outskirts. And when we went to that blade show, we actually got amazing response. And we didn't, as a team, we didn't know. The CEO that we brought in is an old school knife guy. He loved the design, but we were kind of putting our toe in the water at the blade show. And where we thought knife guys would be the ones who look and say, "I don't get it. I don't like it. It's weird." The only market that we fight to get an inroad into is the culinary market. And it makes sense when you think of it. There's a lot of innovation in blade design, so they get it. In the culinary world, the currency of respect is knowledge. Yeah. So how do you know how to use a knife, right? I talked earlier, there's a chef who one of my friends brought over one day. He's like, "Yeah, I want to show him your knife." And I was showing him like, "Oh, when you use a regular knife, you cut, it's bad." He goes, "Well, you're holding it wrong." Because you hold it with a pinch grip. Now this, if you have arthritis, is terrible. But these folks have learned all these, grips like this to then, and if you look, what is it doing? It's aligning the body now with the blade. But they've learned to do this, so they've learned knife technique. And as a result, if you say, "Well, I'm going to invalidate all the knife technique that you've learned with a better knife," they look and they say, "Well, that was expensive for me to learn. It took time for me to learn, and it separates me from casual chefs who really don't understand cutting and technique."
Yeah.
So that's where we've really gotten the biggest headwind. And I've reached out to like some celebrity chefs. I've reached out, and we just haven't found the one yet that says, "Oh, God, my hands kind of hurt now. Like I've got arthritis, and I'm gonna zig while everyone else zags," where they use regular knives or even launch their own line of knives that are traditional knives, versus looking and saying, "Wow, this opens up my market to people." Let's say you're a cooking influencer, or you have cooking classes or whatever. It's with the interesting thing, the translation that hasn't occurred yet, and I really wanted to, is our market, when I use the ability curve model, is about 150 million people. I say it's about, it's easily what, half the country. We're 350 million. I don't know what the number is, but I'm talking broad brushstrokes, but it's a big number. If you're selling to, appealing to, training people for your livelihood, you want that market as big as possible. We have not yet found the culinary champion who says, "Oh, I could be appealing to seniors, disabled, younger, like they just, there's this barrier. And I think that the one that figures it out, and if anyone's listening out, call us, will be like, oh, holy cow, this is, and I hate to use the term game changer, but it's a game changer.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that that occurs at some point.
I hope it does too, because again, and this is the problem with ego, for lack of a better term, right? And it's in everything. It exists everywhere, because you do want to be known as that guy who can, it's almost like getting up on how fast can I chop an onion or dice a carrot, things like that,
right?
Versus what we're talking about. So that will have to go away, and I can understand that. I can see that. I can see why they would be hesitant. But I think you're right. They do need to get over that and go, especially for that older shelf who can't do that anymore.
Right.
And not only that, but I think once they start using it, they probably find out it might make their world a whole lot easier. And that's a cool looking blade. And if you're doing one of the, especially if you're one of these restaurants where the atmosphere is that, oh, let me show what I can do. Let me show this cool thing I got. And the upside is huge to it.
Yeah, and I think it will also, when we bring a premium handle, I think it changes the dynamics a little bit, because blades in general are such a visceral connection for us as a species.
Mm-hmm.
Every culture has them, whether they're made out of, some cultures they're made out of natural materials, others they're made out of steel, but the blade is why we're talking now, right? It gave us the ability to skin animals and wear skins and cook and do all kinds of things. So I understand it, especially again, having done martial arts, right? Like I did Aikido, which has some tied to Bushido, and you kind of study this connection with the samurai and their blade, which isn't that unlike a knight and their blade. Or you look at a sushi chef, right? They're very, that's the tools of their trade, and if there's it's this weird, very close connection. But we hope that we can find a place in there. And for me, I used to say, I totally understand the people who have their $1,000 knife and they want to use it. And I used to feel that way myself. I don't have a $1,000 knife, but I have some chef knives I've made, and now it feels weird. It feels very, very inefficient. And I can feel where I feel this is effortless. I can feel the strain on my muscles and everything. So I look back and I'm like, okay, now I actually, because I'll go out in the shop and I'll make knives still. I only make field knives, either a Bowie or something like that, because those require a point. Like we even took the point off it for safety reasons. So I can't cut myself with this. So I like to make knives that will find utility. And now I really can't make chef knives that way, because I no longer see the utility, even in a casual sense. Like I like to shoot recreationally. I will sometimes take out my cowboy action guns and like to shoot them. I don't even feel that kind of connection anymore with a chef's knife, where it's like, oh, it's nostalgic.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I'm here to cut food, make the meal, and enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. We've only been doing this about a year, and we're supposed to be getting our next shipment in beginning of September. So, and we've been growing by double digits, and I think it's just going to be that one thing where the right person sees it and we get the right kind of exposure. Believe it or not, I'm on TikTok. I'm all over the place. So, I'm hoping, right? Like you can't plan for virality, but hopefully, we'll see it one of these days.
And it's why you do things like this, right? You make the rounds hoping that it's going to connect, which I think is the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
Well, this has been a great conversation. So I like to clip things and send them out, and this has been a great conversation. So I love it.
Appreciate having you here. So tell me, before we get off here, what does the future look like for Nulu?
Great question. We really think of it as a cutting system.
Yeah.
So we're in about a 3rd gen prototype of a adaptive cutting board that holds food in place. Again, my amazing partner His name is Gordon Downey. Anyone needs, because he does some work on the side. If anybody's looking for design help, this guy kicks ass. He's really looking at that part, right? He's working with making a beautiful, elegant, functional cutting board that holds everything in place. The table knife. So if you're at the table cutting food for consumptive reasons, and with that, we're looking to bring a lot of the lessons that we learned with the prep knife. Or I heard there's another manufacturer that's making something that has some similar features called like a kitchen utility knife. I love that. So it has some of those same things, and then the premium handle, where we really want to be able to, it's almost a Toyota Lexus kind of approach. We enter the market with this Toyota that's functional, it's great, it works for everybody. But I want to bring a knife to market that prominently sits on everyone's counter. Like, I put this in the stand most of the time, and I don't have one in front of me, but there's a stand that we created for it. We have it in acacia and bamboo, where an ulu actually was meant to sit in a stand, and it was meant to be really accessible, and you put it back in a stand. So we have that, but I want one that people walk in. I was joking with one of my partners one day, and I said, I want to design the knife that makes people say, I wish I was disabled. Where they look and they say, I wish I had the reason to buy it. And then when they see it's that beautiful, they buy it because it will add to their kitchen. So we're hoping to really expand the product line with our roadmap late 26 into 2027, with product expansion on our flagship product and more products. So I guess you would put horizontal and vertical expansion.
Awesome. And how do people get this wonderful knife and check this thing out?
Oh, you know what? I wanted to add one more thing on the direction we're headed. I did talk a little bit about the software that we're trying to build. There's nobody who's doubting these days that we are in the world of AI.
Yep.
And we are building a comprehensive agent that will not only tell you how to use it based on your own symptomatic profile, but how to maybe get it reimbursed, as I had said before. So if anybody listening would like to help beta that, reach out to me and you asked where they could find us, nuluknives.com. So NULUKNIVES.com. Again, we're also available on Amazon. We have a separate Amazon shop. We're on Rehab Mart. Any of the groups that I talked about before, please go to GovX. They really great to us to get us on their platform, and we love to give back to the military and all the other heroes out there. And there's a really significant discount for that community. And then, as I mentioned, we're on Rehab Mart. Look for us in the next couple weeks. Also on TikTok, TikTok Shop, I guess it is. I got to ask my kids what that's called. By of it, and there's a couple of other similar platforms where there's some efficiency in getting on it. But the best place to go is our website, because it's got the biggest depth. There's testimonials from all sorts of different people who have different use cases. So we have a blind Paralympian who loves the knife. He gave a testimonial. There's some people with other issues that I think everybody can kind of connect with some of these testimonials. And then if anybody wants to see some of the other stuff I've got going on, DouglasMKatz.com. This isn't my only business. I also have a business with my wife. It's a bistro table that universally mounts on the back of UTVs and golf carts called Golf Fresco. We're just bringing that to market this year. And then I do some speaking and consulting if anybody feels I can bring some value to their organization.
Good grief. Doug is busy. Doug.
Hey, I don't believe that the third act should be autumn, right? I think the third act should be spring, man.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Guys, Doug, this has been an incredible conversation. And guys, if you'd like to learn more about Douglas Katz, the Nulu adaptive knife, Golf Fresco, and other innovations, You develop it. Visit these websites. I will link them down below. I give them easy access to you guys. Be sure you go check them out. You'll also find more links to his projects. We're going to learn as much as we can about Doug and his mission to restore independence through thoughtful design. Thanks for joining us on the FAFO
Can I get one
podcast? Go ahead.
One quick alibi. So we are also looking to expand our footprint through independent sales reps. We have a program put together for that. So anyone who looks at this and says, I believe in the mission and I want to make some income, we pay up to 25% commission. And if they go to the website, there's information there about it. Sorry to interrupt you at the end there, but I'm like, oh my God, I'm kicking myself in the nuts by
because it sounds like the FAFO podcast needs to get involved in this because I love the mission. I think it's brilliant. And because, first of all, and I did not say this at the beginning, and I kick myself because I always do this, but thank you for your service, by the way. We can't have this country without men and women like you. So I'm always down to support anything. So, yeah, I will reach out to you for that because I love that. I think that's a great idea.
Thank you. Thank you much. Thank you.
No,
well, Chet, I've enjoyed this, man. I really, really enjoyed the chat.
Oh, I did too. And I know my audience is going to enjoy it, and they should, because I'm anxious to get this knife. I'm not going to lie to you. Once you started, I saw it, and I knew we were going to talk. I was thinking about my girlfriend because she's going through all this, and I was like, you know what? I really need to I'm going to have to get her this knife, and it probably means I'm getting me this knife, but still, I can use her as my excuse and do it.
After the call, I will forward you a specific code. And if you love it, if you could give us a testimonial, then we could backlink to you and everything as well. So I'll send you that code. Let me know. Should I just send it to your email? Do I have your email?
Yeah, I think you have my email. Yeah. If not, I'll reach out.
You know what? I'll shoot it to you through Podmatch. Okay. And then if you go to order, use that. Unless it's a little bit better than the GovX one. I don't know if you can use GovX, but I'll send your friends a family discount.
All right, well, I appreciate it because I just want to help out where we can help out. That's kind of the whole basis of this particular show.
Absolutely.
Anyway. We don't make any money on this show, and we're really that's not our goal here. Our goal is to bring awareness and enjoy talking to people like you, which I think is awesome because this has been a great conversation. I've enjoyed this. And I do love this whole Nulu thing. It's cool to me. I just think it's such a benefit. And I wish my mother would have had something like this when she went through everything she went through before she passed. And like I said, when Jennifer's going through what she's going through here, this thing is just brilliant. And I think this is good. Her eyes were lighting up on what we're talking right here. And
awesome.
And look, we're still recording this, folks. Y'all will still hear this part of this conversation. But I'm not fully transparent. But you can see, cause she wants to feel helpful again.
Yep.
She hates having me have to do everything for her right now and then she's got rehab coming up. But this right here, I think is going to be the game changer for. So yeah, you got it. When I get this knife and we start using it, you will get a full testimonial from me, brother.
Hey, when she goes to rehab, have her show it to her OT. We love talking to OTs as well.
I'm going to because I love that because my daughter was trying to get into occupational therapy before she got on this other kick. So we're a family of that. I personally train myself, elderly people. So I just think it's brilliant.
No shit.
So I got a couple of people who I know I'm going to talk to about your knife.
Dude, we got to make you an affiliate, man. Let me know. I'll show you. I'll send you the affiliate stuff too.
Yeah, send me that because I would love to. I love getting behind things like this. And I've talked to a lot of people, and there's a lot of great stuff, but I love things like this. And guys like
thank you, brother. I really appreciate it.
So this is awesome. I appreciate you coming on here today, dude.
You got it.
Thank you so much, guys. You are listening to the FAFO Podcast. Facts, truth, no BS. Let's have them go. I'll see you next time.
4 on the floor, have a tank of gas. Does he boots on the wood, let the whiskey pass. I ain't preaching from a pulpit, I'm talking from the scar. You can dress up a lie, but it won't get far. They call it toxic.